Good evening. Welcome to this edition of Born Political. I've had a lot of different folks on here, but I've only had one previous family member. My mom. She was the first show. And tonight I've had the pleasure of actually someone that married in and actually made a real impact and difference in our family. He's just a great guy. He's somebody that you probably heard of if you've been to any shows at Mohegan Sun or even Foxwoods or anywhere around the country for that matter, if you read on some of these articles. Tome Cantone has been integral in changing the face, to me, of what entertainment looks like in our region. If you just go to Mohegan Sun, I know there was a letdown last week. Billy Joel got sick.
No, Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, Bruce Springsteen. He was sick. Yeah. And that's part of the show business. We're going to talk about that today. But I'm going to introduce you today to Tome Cantone, good friend, family member. Tom, welcome to the show, buddy.
Joey, how you doing, Mo? I forgot we're related. Sort of.
We are. We're by marriage.
We're on the same team now.
Same team.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Except when it comes to baseball.
Yes. When it comes to baseball, I'm a Yankee, you're a Red Sox.
That's right.
Yeah, forever. Although my wife Anissa is a Red Sox, so I got that to deal with. But my daughter is a Yankee. Chose it on her own. I had nothing to do with it.
I'm sure.
I had nothing to do with it.
Bringing her to Yankee Stadium, I had nothing to do with it.
We've gone actually have not taken her there, but Anissa and I have been there, and Fenway, and a great story in Fenway. Oh my, I got tickets to go to Mariano Rivera's final game, and they were honoring him everywhere all over the country. First of all, thanks for inviting me here.
Oh, please.
And what they say, long time fan,
long time listener.
Yeah.
First time caller.
First time, long time. So I got tickets, and we're going down. This is a big night. Going down, kept going down. Where are we going? We sat in the owner's box.
Wow.
For that day. And my daughter, who was, I don't know, 5 or 6 at the time, she had both on Red Sox and a Yankee. So Anissa had made her different, both. We sat right next to the Yankee dugout, and there's Cano and Jeter and Girardi. They're all coming up to Tessa and giving her balls and gum. And
that's why she likes it. But
yeah, exactly.
So this, I'm going to tell you, this show's only a half hour.
Okay.
And this is going to be part 1, probably, because
we can talk for hours out there.
We 100%.
Yeah.
It's easy. And Born Political, the show, is basically about the person and not the politics and not, because a lot of times people don't know who they are, what you've done. And to start with, you're not, most people I've interviewed, because I'm a local guy, is most Connecticut people, but you're not from Connecticut. You're Pennsylvania.
Yeah, born and raised there, and went to Penn State, started at Hershey, Pennsylvania. I became a chocoholic there. It pained me when I left Hershey that I had to pay for a Hershey bar because I used to get it free from the factory. It was a great time there.
Well, you went to elementary in Pennsylvania in Hershey too?
No, I was born and raised in Harrisburg. So Hershey was, a few towns over. But that's where I started my career. Yeah. And on the entertainment side, there was Hershey Entertainment, and then Hershey Foods had the chocolate. And I loved the high school that I went. We never lost a football game in my whole 3 years there. Never lost. We were 39-0.
That's hard to do in Pennsylvania.
Exactly. We were number 1 in the state. In fact, our quarterback was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he went to USC. That's how good our team was. So I played baseball for John Harris, it was called. And, for me to even make a sports team there, you got to be semi-pro, So it was an honor to wear the crimson.
I made the sports teams, but I was more the kind of guy that kind of hung out on the bench and cheered people on.
Well, I sort of sat the bench, yeah.
It's hard. When I had the same kind of situation. But
I know.
So you went to elementary too, though. So you were all the way through.
100%.
You have brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
right?
I have one sister passed. I have a sister and a brother still back in Harrisburg. But it's funny, we talk about this all the time. When I was in first grade, 6 years old, I walked to school. I lived in a city. So I walked across the street, a couple alleys down. My mother walked me across the street, and I was on my way. Yeah. I wouldn't even think about doing that today without a police escort. Yeah. I mean, and I used to walk back and forth. Then I went to junior high school, same thing in high school. But the cool thing about my upbringing is that I went, now it's fashionable to say multicultural and everything, but I was the minority until I got to junior high. Yep. It was mostly all black, and I had a lot of friends growing up. I thought that was normal, for me. And one of my best friends to this day now lives out in Iowa. We keep in touch, black guy, friendly. We used to get in trouble all the time in high school and have
No.
so much fun
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But it was never really an issue or a problem like we see today. We know why, because we figured it out. In the beginning, it might have been.
Yeah.
I remember, going to grade school, and since I was different, I used to get picked on a little bit. And as we got older, we all grew together and we all became friends.
Yeah.
And so I lived in a row home right next to a Catholic church. And I played the drums, and every time I played the drums, everybody would be outside dancing and having a good.
Oh, you played on the street?
Well, no, the walls were so paper thin that everybody heard me out in the street, But our house was the place to be. My mom and dad did it right. They raised us right. We were not from a dysfunctional family at all.
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints about how I was raised. They actually gave us core values. I definitely knew what was right and wrong. There was no gray area, and we didn't blame anybody else but ourselves.
And were your grandparents involved too?
My grandfather lived with us.
Yep.
Back then there was no senior citizen homes and nursing homes and all that. We took care of our own.
I actually think, I talked about this on the show before, and I talked to people in public. They ask what's wrong with our country in America, and why can't you do certain things or trust that your kid could walk to school like I did, like you did. And some of it goes back to the grandparents thing. I think people, even nowadays, they spike the football and say, oh my God, I lived my life, I'm 55, I got my retirement from EB or wherever I work from, and I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna buy a house that has an extra bedroom, so when my grandkids and kids come, they can visit me. But I was able to walk to my nanny's house at any moment. My mother's mother and my father's mother both live in London. They were both within walking distance of me. So if I got out of school and I walked to my grandmother's house, my mother knew I was safe until 6 o'clock when she got out of work. And there's a disconnect, and that's part of it.
100%. To that point, I would go out and play until dark, and then my father would whistle us home for dinner. We all ate dinner together as a family, went to church on Sunday. After church, we all came home and had an Italian feast with all the relatives coming in and friends. My mother was a great cook, Italian sauce, and I would be the first to come home and put the sauce on and everything. It was just a great time, and Joey, I so long for those days. Every day, we only had 3 channels to watch on TV. We were never hit with a constant onslaught of how wrong everything is in the world. You can't breathe without thinking the world's coming to an end. We didn't have that then.
But the Pandora box is out, because every kid has more access to information.
100%.
We all do. These phones are they're a blessing in some ways, but they are, to me, a curse. Especially when you hear young kids say, "Man, this is so cool because I always have this thing." And to me, it's become it does mess with your independence, with your maturity, your growth, because your mother didn't know where you were. Once the sun was going down, you knew you had to get close, right, in range of the house. With a cell phone, you're always really in range.
Well,
and, they could track you.
We got one for Tess when she was younger because of the safety part. But I never thought it would become antisocial. It's not a social media thing. It's an anti-social media thing. More harm comes from that than good. I blame social media for a lot of our ills today. I really do. Things that could have been solved and resolved have become a headline and played over and over and over again. We can't get out of our own way. We can't solve any problems. It's the same problem. We have a saying in my office: we don't mind solving problems, just not the same ones. And we just can't we can't move on in any direction. They keep repeating themselves.
And some of the positives that come out, because again, I think it also gives a lot of people a loud voice that normally might not have been heard.
Correct.
But for me, the social media part, there is, because we never really ever focus on the good. I think it's human nature. Like when you don't focus on perfectly moving traffic, no one does. But once there's an accident, you all look at it, or we all do. It's in our nature, and I think that's part of what social media is, because there's also they've generated billions and billions through those simple fundraisers that you see and you click, and you throw $50 or $20, or you give tickets or whatever you do. Those things, I've seen how much charity you guys have done, especially through the casino and through you and Anissa personally. But that won't get reported because you can't report all the good stuff, because there's still a lot of good stuff.
Well, absolutely, but we don't focus on that in the media. The media focuses on, like I say, are you going to turn on the news? No, I'm going to turn on the bad news, because that's all we see.
That's all it is.
We do not social media at all. Anissa and I, we don't Facebook, we don't Instagram, we don't tweet, we don't do any social media. So if you want to look, if you I know you can't, and our family, does, and we have family members who, the minute something happens, oh, I just walked in the door. Look, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing everything, and that's fine. You know, I'm okay with that because it's fun and friendly.
I want to get back to you because most people don't, you know, they know your name because obviously if they've been in a casino at all, then a lot of times, you know, I don't think the shows would be the people that we've had through this arena. I don't know if it happens without you. I think, you know, you probably hear that from other people, but I think it's true because that, you know, it's difficult. We're in a small part. We're on the small side of Connecticut, the smaller population, but to get the kind of people that you bring here, it's all about connections and communication.
Well, you do this better than anybody. It's all about relationships. I've been blessed with relationships that have been like gold to me, but I treat them like, you know, we're FFLs, friends for life.
Yeah.
We're invested in each other. We trust each other. They know that I'm going to produce the best that we can for their client, for whoever they represent, or them themselves. Like growing up, I used to listen to the people that I really now know personally, that have been in my home, that communicate them regularly, that used to be I'd hear their hit records and the TV shows and stuff, and now they're friends of mine, and I go, wait a minute, I grew up with him, I'm now talking to him, and they're calling me, and we text and stuff, and stay in touch.
So did it start young? I mean, some people grow up and say, hey, I want to be a police officer, a firefighter, I want to be a doctor. Were you young and said, I want to entertain people, or I want to be in entertainment? Or
what happened to me was for two words. It's funny you mentioned it because I gave a speech in Atlantic City on this. My whole career is because of two words, the most important two words in our vocabulary. Thank you. And it goes back to when I was at Penn State, I wrote, I used to fashion myself as a writer. So I wrote for this rag newspaper in Harrisburg that would take anybody's work. It's a weekly or whatever.
Anyone.
Yeah, I mean, take
Even
anybody.
me.
Yeah, so I found out that Hershey Park was doing a Disney-like renovation. So I got an interview with the GM there. And I interviewed him, and it made front page of this nothing newspaper and everything. And I thought, well, maybe I should send it to him. He'll never see it. Maybe I should send it to him with a thank you note. Because I'm a big, my mother taught me that.
Yeah.
Always write a thank you note for people who do things for you. I do that to this day. And I wasn't going to do it, Joey. I said, he doesn't care. And I wrote him a thank you note, and I put it in the mail. I remember this day putting it in the mail. I got called 2 weeks later for an interview to go to Hershey and interview for a job there.
Wow.
Had I not done that, I don't know where or what I'd be doing. Because then, and here's the funny part, I went and interviewed, and I didn't have any experience at all, but I guess I interviewed pretty well. But it was me against this other person who had a lot of experience in PR and entertainment and stuff. I was second runner-up. They offered the job to that person. That person turned it down.
Wow.
Whoever that person
See, life is like
out there, if you're listening, thank you, because the doors opened for me like an onslaught, one after another, and I had opportunities. I always say when luck meets opportunity, great things happen. And I was lucky to have so many people, think that I could, help them in some way and invested in me. That guy that gave me the interview, the GM at the time, ended up to be chairman of the board of Hershey.
Wow.
And to this day, we keep in touch. He changed my life. And he always ended all of our little get-together. I was a nobody, but he made me feel like a somebody because he always ended, first of all, he knew my name, and then he always ended our meetings with, keep her going. And I thought, wow, he really thinks I'm doing okay,
Yep.
So it's all about putting people first. I've learned that as a leader, you have to invest in people. If you put people first, product and profit, great things will always happen. But if you don't have the people part right, there's so many people that have been smarter than me, Joey, in my career, but they didn't have the people part right.
Yep.
They weren't good at it, and they failed in life. They were great with everything else, but they just couldn't communicate.
And a lot of times it comes back to the thank you, just like you said, because they don't know how to thank the people that are surrounding them sometimes, and that makes them not
100%.
people.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you have to be this guy that's always smiling and happy, but you do have to acknowledge that the people around you are doing something to help you get where you are.
It's funny you say that because we have a thing that I preach called Just Be Nice.
Yeah.
And there's actually a friend of mine wrote a book called The Power of Nice. And, so what if somebody tells you, well, just be nice? Yeah, but what if it's not, well, just be nice. And then, then, you just be nice until you can't be nice anymore. And then I turn into Michael Corleone.
Everyone has that inner Corleone, right?
Man, don't mess with me then.
If you get there, you get there. It's not as easy. But
Abusing niceness is not good.
so obviously your career is spanned way beyond Hershey, and that's where your heart is. When I talked to you, remember when I first met you, you were Hershey was that's what you gave for gifts. That's where Hershey bars are.
Right.
What you were getting them for free now. I know.
Well, I only eat Hershey chocolate, and it's funny. People know I'm a chocoholic, so they buy me Godivas and chocolates from all over the world and I'm like, I give them
me
away.
my Hershey
I just
bar.
want my Hershey bar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you moved on from Hershey to how long did you stay at Hershey?
About 9.5 years.
Oh, so that's...
and then gaming became right outside of Vegas. Atlantic City became the only other gaming market was that.
Yeah.
And I got a call from a headhunter, and I said, well, I'm not interested in a casino, but we went down to the Jersey Shore a lot. So they called me, and would you want a VP job at entertainment? And sort of reflected everything that I did at Hershey, because we ran hotels and arena and theme parks and everything. So I said, well, it's pretty cool to know a president of a casino. So on our way down, I set up the interview, and wouldn't you know it, the president of the Sands and I, he told me there's a stack of resumes like this. They interviewed in the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, everywhere. So I was thinking, well, I can't beat those guys. So it didn't matter because I wasn't really looking per se. We talked for 3.5 hours.
Wow.
He offered me a job on the spot.
Wow.
And I went, well, I got to really think about this because I got a career back there. I got my family in the lobby that's been waiting. The kids were young. And I said, let me talk to my wife, see what blah, blah, blah. And then I decided, well, if I'll give it 3 years. If it doesn't work out, I can always go back to Hershey or whatever. Well, here I am, decades later. I've never left.
It's still. I mean, I think it's easy to say nonchalantly now, but when your wife's in the waiting room and your kids are there, you're thinking about their school, about your home. That's your hometown-ish, right? And So it's a big move.
My family never left Harrisburg. I was the only one.
Wow.
Yeah, and everyone stayed there.
Yeah.
I have a big family back there, and I left a long time ago, and never looked back. It was the best thing I ever did.
Hard to do though, or was it?
Once
you did it, it was just.
It was fine. Well, I remember driving away. I might get a little emotional. I remember seeing my mom and dad standing at the doorway, waving goodbye.
Wow.
And it was emotional.
My daughter moved to Ledyard. About how to panic attack. I'm like, because in my mind, I'm thinking, I want my grandson to be able to, after school, walk to my house like I walked to my grandmother's house.
Yeah.
I want to be able to coach baseball. I want him to play for Fitch. And
right.
Those are things that, obviously wants that.
Yeah.
I'm sure your parents were thinking all the same things about you.
Yeah.
And then they watch you drive off and knowing that you're doing what's in your heart. And
mission accomplished, though, because we didn't move from the inner city to a better neighborhood. We never had a house, and we finally did that. But they waited till I graduated from the high school that they all graduated from, and then we moved over there. My father wanted me, I was only Penn State grad. My father wanted me to graduate from Penn State, even though I don't know how he did it, but Joey, he put 4 of us through college at one time, and he worked for the state. And I don't know how the man did it, but it was tough with 4 kids. But everything's back to the way it was. Everything to this day should start and end in the home. You can't relinquish your responsibility to teachers, to anybody in the community, nobody. You need to raise your kids the way and teach them right and wrong. Yes, you can hand them off, but if they have a good sense of who they are and a good presence of their character and all of that, and always know just instinctively to do the right thing, I don't want anybody else to influence that. Now, they can make up their own mind later in life, but you got to give them, that's what my mom and dad did. My mom was, she never went to college or anything, but she was a born leader. And
you came from a tribe. That's what happened, though.
Yeah.
Because and that's that's the part I see, and I see it within my own community where, again, I can count dozens and dozens of people that are running. I retired, I'm running for the board, I'm leaving, but they're leaving behind. Like, I could not leave my grandson here. It would be gut wrenching, impossible. I can't do it. And I'm not throwing shade at people that that run down the floor. I mean, listen, you worked your whole life in the yard at EB. You probably want a couple warm winters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You've deserved it.
Yep.
But there's something missing, and I think the secret ingredient is it's between thank yous and love showed. And we say thank you because, for us, what we learned through the whole addiction process, when we were first looking for help, when we didn't know where to turn, we went to the police because some chief up in Gloucester came up with this new plan that we're not going to arrest people that are doing drugs. And the way that we really got the cops involved was bringing people that they had saved, not the kids that they saved, but the parents. And the parents meeting the cops and them saying, hey, you know what, you didn't just save just anybody. I wouldn't have my kid here. And that's a thank you. And the police officers walked out and the chest was pumped up because everybody wants to hear they're doing a good job.
Yes.
Or what they're doing is worth it. And what they heard, when you said the thank you part, it's like we forget. Like if you're out there listening, say thank you to someone, someone that moves you or helps you, it means a lot.
And here's the sad part. Not only say thank you, we give people your time. As you get older, all your parents and grandparents want is time. They don't need another gift. They don't need to see you on birthdays and Christmas. Stop in for no reason. Take them out for ice cream. Surprise them because, you're too busy. Well, you'll take time to go to their funeral, won't you? So it's one of those things where it's a sore subject with me because my mother and father would tell me, they don't see too many people, not too many people drop by and this and that. We had an army that lived there, and because when I lived there, I stopped in all the time.
Yeah.
So if you're listening out there, do something special for someone you really love. Doesn't have to be a family member. Anyone that you think might love having a visitor or just spend time with them or take them out for a minute, go to dinner, surprise them. The fun we talk about what keeps a marriage really fun. I know Anissa and I surprise each other all the time. Yeah. Out of the blue, we'll do something fun for each other. We have date night. We don't take for granted a thing because as you get older, the clock's ticking.
Well, we're all on borrowed time, even if you're young.
I'm in the fourth quarter. So
fourth quarter?
There are no timeouts.
Are you Tom Brady though? Right?
Well, half right. I'm Tom. So
you're almost there. So I know, I promise this is going to be like a 2 or 3 part show because we haven't even talked. He's got a million stories. Tom's done a million different things, but you're still in just New Jersey right now. Well, how did you end up in Connecticut? Was it right from New Jersey and then you?
Yeah. So what happened was, I'm at the Sands, and Donald Trump came looking for me, and for a couple of years, and the word got to me that he had the 3 casinos and everything, and I kept saying no, because I was happy at the Sands and learned a lot there. It was wonderful. I was reborn in Atlantic City, career-wise.
Yep.
I was a walk-on, Joey. Nobody knew me. I wasn't part of anyone. A lot of casino presidents bring in their own people. Yep. I knew nobody, and became somebody, I guess, in town. And I changed things. I changed the whole landscape immediately, and I saw an opportunity there. But I had the support from people to do it. Well, that caught the attention of Trump, and so it took me a while, but I finally,
Did you go to the interview, table across the table, or was it through human resources?
So I went to Trump Tower,
Yep.
and it was with my lawyer and everything, and
You brought your lawyer to an interview.
Yeah. And
See, I've never had to do that as a sheet metal worker. Well, okay.
Well, this was a big league thing for me.
Yeah.
So, to do it right. So I signed the deal with him, spent time at the Trump properties, doing all 3 on the corporate side. And then things went a little haywire with him, went back to the Sands because they wanted me back to launch this Hollywood brand that we bought, the Hollywood Casino, which is now a big deal. So Hollywood and the Sands were part of my deal. And I was there for a while, and then another headhunter called about this place called Foxwoods in Connecticut, which I had heard about. And they said it was the biggest property, biggest resort in the Western Hemisphere, but I'd never seen it. So I went up there, and it was perfect timing because Atlantic City I was there during the boom years.
Yep.
It was phenomenal, just the greatest time. It was packed every night. On a Tuesday night, you couldn't even walk.
Yeah.
And so things changed after a while. And I went there, and I'll never forget driving, and I saw this Emerald City I said, this is a mistake. I'm in a back road.
It looked weird coming out of the woods, right?
I'm in a back road. I said, what the heck am I doing? This is not Atlantic City, And all of a sudden, there it was, just rising. And I went, I don't think I can do this. So I went in. So And, you know, things worked out there for a while. And, you know, I had a great time there. But the relationship stayed with me.
Yeah.
People followed me where I went. And I was able to bring to the table some really cool things that we did through television, through concerts. See, I was the marketing head at 3 casinos.
Yeah.
And I always used entertainment as a differentiator that gave us the personality. Because let's face it, I'm sorry. All casinos are the same. Sorry out there. We all have the same slot machines. We all have the same table games. We all have the restaurants. We all, you know, clubs and all that stuff. But what sets you apart is your programming. If you got the hottest and greatest names on the planet in your house, the whole world wants to be there. And that drives the database. And that database drives gaming. And that gaming is the cream of the crop. You know,
and I think when people think of entertainment too, they're always thinking of the top level stuff, like the must-see stuff. But it's the Wolf Den lineup, right? It's the outside parties that you guys do.
I know, but there are great stories. Like, you know, I used to book Seinfeld, Atlantic City, when nobody knew him. He was an opening act. I paid him $1,500. Last minute, Jerry, are you available? I need, you know, boom, boom, boom. He would come down. Nobody cared. No one talked to him except me. Yeah. And I would talk to him, and I got to know him. He would thank me for, you know, at the time, I put food on his table. Right?
Yeah.
So when he left his big hit show that saved NBC, guess what? I got a call from him. The whole world wanted to book him to be the first, you know, because he was like such in demand. Was he going to go back out? He said, to pay you back, I want you to have my first live show.
Wow.
So things like that are really pinch me moments, you know.
I think it's funny because I think most people build up and they do their career, and they don't understand what their career even looked like until they get to look back at it a little
100%.
bit. And then you get to look back. There's certain things that I've done that and a lot of it had to do with construction.
Yeah.
Oh man, I ran that job, and you drive by a building. That's what's so physical about construction that I like. I'll walk through the casino and my wife's like, stop pointing to things that you did. People
That's
don't
cool,
care.
though. Yeah.
They don't,
That's
right?
okay.
But
You
I
do. But you do.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I wrote this book a while ago, and I forgot half the stuff I did had I not saved things.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my gosh, I did that? I don't remember it. Now I do.
That was the Bookham, right?
Yeah, Bookham. And I'm glad I did that. Originally, it was just written as a leave behind, so my family knew what I was up to all these years. But with the internet that you just talked about, it found a life, and it sold out.
Yeah.
I only printed 40, but that's all right.
Your picture's on the back, I'm sure. But so we're almost out of time.
Yeah, wait a minute. So I don't come empty-handed. I come with gifts.
love it.
So everyone on my team has this. You're the only one, all right, that has this. We came up and I said, you know, we don't sell tickets. We make memories. And so I copyrighted this, and on the back, Mohegan Sun's been on a decade of excellence. We've been ranked among the tops in the world, and that's what it says there. And that's for you, Mo.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you coming on the show. I mean, and actually, this is even the fact that you're what you brought to even our family. You brought a lot of joy and you make people smile.
Works both ways.
It does. You know what I mean? And I think our family accepted you because you're one of us already. You're part of the tribe.
I came to life when I met Elisa.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, and I used to say, you know, what am I going to do? And I bought this house, and Anissa came into my life. And
we are out of time, Tom.
Okay.
Hey, listen, that story's for next time.
All right, Mo.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.
Thanks for coming on. That was a great show.
Yeah, that was good.